Hi, and welcome to the Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. I'm Shirley Ants, a clinical hypnotherapist with a private practice here in Southern California, an advocate and a mental health first responder with Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy and Wellness. So, thank you for coming and finding my radio show where you can come as you are and leave as you want to be. So, do you wish you could more freely enjoy a great habit or just get back to feeling more like you? Then I'm the person to talk to. So, we need to talk. And although I do specialize with the LGBTQIA community, I work with and welcome everybody. So, don't feel intimidated to call. So, if you need help, I'm here at all time. I'm here all the time, so you can book online at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com. So again, thank you for joining the new improved Hypno Fairy Godmother show, now being seen and heard on multiple social media sites. So if you want to find out where all you can find me, depending on where you're finding me today, you can. That's also listed on my website at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com. And here we go for today's show. So, before we get going in full swing, there's a couple things I always do at the beginning of my show, and they're very important, and you can join along with me. But it's important to make sure that you're in a safe place. And what I mean by safe place is that you're not driving and you're not working on a special project or you're dealing with something, because a lot of times people do close their eyes or they're a little bit distracted, and I don't ever want that to happen or any accident. So I always tell you, be in a safe place. Be where, whether you're alone or not, just a nice area where if you do close your eyes, you won't be in any danger. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to take a nice deep breath, hold it, and exhale with a smile. Good job. And the next thing we're going to do, and I got this from a friend of mine who has allowed me to use it. I've slightly modified it, but it's basically the same thing and I love it. So that's why I use it all the time. And I tell my clients to use it because it's fun. So the first thing we're going to do is wiggle your toes. That's right. I said wiggle your toes. Inside your shoes, outside your shoes, I don't care. I'm an outside your shoes, barefooting kind of girl. So that's how I wiggle my toes. So the next thing we're going to do is wiggle your butt. Yes, I said it. Wiggle your butt. Wiggle, squeeze those cheeks together. Wiggle your butt. See, you're not really, moving that much. And I do this because I've never been able to ask somebody to do it, or people do it without smiling or laughing. And that's the whole point of wiggling your butt. So the last thing I want you to do is take another deep breath. And this time, as you exhale, I want you to say a little affirmation. Something like, we got this. Everything's going to be okay. I'm a we got this kind of girl. And it's just something little and simple that you can say to yourself that will help you get through the next hour or the next day or the next week. I really believe in affirmations. So, um, a lot of times I will bring up affirmations, and in other shows in the past, I have brought them up, and I will bring them up again on how important they are. And if you've got an extra little time, roll your shoulders, roll your neck. That's right, back and forth. Maybe wiggle your belly, wiggle your hips a little bit more. And in less than 3 minutes, you have now relaxed your muscles from your toes to your nose and above. How great does that feel? You don't need to spend a whole lot of time sometimes. Sometimes you just need to think about it. And if you're getting a little stressy during the day, you can always hear my voice go wiggle your toes, wiggle your butt, take a deep breath. It doesn't take that long. Especially if you work in an office or a cubicle, something like that, you don't want to have, raising your arms really big or getting up and stretching out your legs. These are things that you can actually do sitting down. And most people won't even notice what you're doing, unless you're making big actions. So that's why I suggest these things. And I hope you had fun doing that. And, so as a hypnotherapist, I get asked a lot about mental health and how to maintain it. So I thought today would be a good time to go over some things that you may not have heard me say from the previous incarnation of this show and start a new discussion. And I wanted to also discuss how these are can be just as important for your kids and other family members as it is for you, because everybody's going through stress right now. Everybody's going through it. So these are things that you can do to help you out. And I think that that's really important because I'm self based, which means I want you to do what's best for you and yourself. Take care of you, because if you don't take care of you, then you really can't help anybody else. And that's really important. So, according to modern therapy, you can break it down into few categories, like 8 or 9 categories. And if you know me, I'm going to go over some of these a couple times because I want you to know how important they are. Um, like I said, it's about taking care of you first. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is physical self care. And that's moving your body, your mental health, nutrition, sleep. And some good examples of these are go for a walk. And it doesn't have to be a huge walk. It doesn't have to be run a mile. It doesn't have to be in training for something. It's just going outside and taking a walk around the block, around your house to just get started, get some vitamin D, get some sunlight. And I know that some of us are in partial quarantine, some of us are in full quarantine. Some, can do whatever they want to. But if you're going to go out and take a walk, it's important for you to be careful. If you need to wear a mask in case you run into somebody else. If you know you're not going to run into somebody else, then I think you'll be okay. But it's important to get out and, see what's going on around you. Um, right now, flowers are blooming, leaves are changing. Go out and see what's out there, and it'll change everything for you. Just getting the fresh air, and maybe if you have a little breeze going. I'm lucky enough to live in an area where we get the breeze off of the ocean. So I love that. But if you don't have that, it's okay. Just like I said, going out and taking a small walk. Or how about taking a bath? Not a quick shower, but a full bath. And you can go all out with candles and flowers and bath bombs and stuff like that. Or you can just run a really warm bath and relax in it and feel your muscles relax and feel your brain relax, because this is a time for you. Shut the door. Don't let anybody else in. If you have kids, have somebody else watch them for a few minutes just so you can relax and let your brain just flow, which is so important. It's important to get enough sleep. They say that 7 to 9 hours is perfect. You know your body. So, depending on how much sleep that you really need, the important thing is, you know, knowing a specific time. There is a specific time that we have in my household that we, you know, turn off, leave the front room, turn off the TV, go into the bedroom, and just start our relaxing time. Start winding down. And that means, and I'm probably going to say this a couple of times, but that means, not taking your laptop with you or your phone or your tab. That's you relaxing time. And I think that I know that that's important. And I also know how hard it is, because I put everything on vibrate and I've had to start to just turn it off. Because every time you hear that vibration or you hear that little ding, you're just ready to go and look at it. And you need to relax. You need to let your brain slowly, you need to let it slow down. It's also important to eat nutritious food and some nourishing food. Add a few fruits and vegetables during your day or your week. The more you do that, the better your body will feel, and the better your body feels, the better your mind feels. Um, it's a wonderful progression of how things work and how your body works. And if you can get your body to feel better, then you can get the rest of you to feel better. And that's what we're leaning towards always. The next thing is psychological self care. Learning new things, practicing mindfulness and creativity. And a really good thing is to log your emotions and your thoughts. And when you log your emotions and thoughts, write down, why do I feel this way? And use that to reflect on whether the way you're feeling actually has evidence to back it up, or maybe you were slightly overreacting, maybe you were slightly underreacting. It gives you a chance once you log it, and I'll be talking more about this later, that, the more you see it is really important. And one, study actually showed that thought records are really effective to modifying how you feel. And, even when they're used by themselves and not in conjunction with any other type of treatment plan, you're taking control of your emotions and you're taking control of your feelings. So, one of the first things I tell you is to practice mindfulness. I'm a big proponent of mindfulness. I love it. I know that a lot of people are kind of insecure, or not insecure, but they don't really know a lot about mindfulness. And what that means is being in the moment, being absolutely in this moment, and not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but being right there. And whether it takes meditation or whether it takes, no matter what it takes, and when you first start mindfulness or any type of this, what's going to happen is your brain's going to kind of wander. It'll always wander. And that's okay, because once you notice it's wandering, you can always just bring it back to the center. I do talk a lot about I'm a proponent of mindfulness, and I help my clients with that, ways to bring that into their lives. And that's so important. Another thing that you can do is read a book. It's as simple as reading a book, and whether it's um, a physical book, or whether it's, you're an electronic Kindle, or, some kind of electronic book person. Books are so important because they can take you out of where you are and put you somewhere else. They can put you in another land. They can put you in another area. And it doesn't matter what kind of book it is. It doesn't have to be anything specific. It's amazing what books can do for you. So I fully recommend that. And like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of book you read, and it doesn't matter how long. It doesn't have to be an epic novel. It can just be something fun that you love to read, and let that take you away. You know, try learning a new skill that maybe you've always wanted to learn. Maybe knitting or embroidery, or just some craft or something. You can always go on YouTube, and you can look things up, and you can find people that will teach you. If you don't have somebody that that does it, you can always find someone that can teach you how to do whatever it is. And don't expect to be fabulous at it at the beginning. That's not what it's about. What it's about is actually not, it's about learning, and it's about creativity, and it's about taking you out of where you may be mentally. And if you're concentrating on learning a new project, then you're less likely to be thinking about other things because you need to concentrate. Um, this comes up a lot, and people are going to be kind of freaked about it, but you have to do a digital detox. Unplug for a few hours a day. like I said, we have a specific time where we shut things off and that's it. We shut it off and you start to let your mind just relax. And you can do this during the day, you can do it at the end of the day. You can, and I like I said, I know how hard it is. I totally know how hard it is to not feel like, you need to know what's going on at every minute. And when you hear that ding on your phone that you have a new message or a person has text messaged you, set boundaries. Set your own personal boundaries and stick to them. Don't let anybody, don't feel obligated. That's what I'm trying to say. Is don't feel obligated that you need to have, your phone or your tab or whatever with you 24/7. You can sleep without it. And if you have it on all the time, it's going to make it harder for you to sleep because you do need that nice deep sleep. And to do that, you need to let your brain relax. And there's nothing better than just letting you feel like mush and you relaxing. A great thing is, emotional self-care. This is a big one for me is emotional self-care. Enhancing your emotions, navigating those emotions, increasing your empathy, managing your stress effectively. Some great advantages are, examples of self-care. And this was, I learned this from the daily mood tracker, and it helps people develop and help people dealing with their anger management issues. And it helps with that. But it can be helpful for anyone that wants to, once again, track their moods. Split the day up into several 2-hour blocks. And once again, I'm going to bring it up to track your emotions, as well as writing down those moods. And this is something that can be helpful for you. It can be helpful for your kids to, if they're having a bad day, to just jot down what time it is, how they feel, and maybe why they feel that way. And it's been known to even help, people that have depression because you're tracking why you feel that way, how you feel that way. Did somebody make you feel that way? And the most important part of this is learning to say no. I know it's crazy. I know some of you have never even thought of this, but learning how to say no. It's so empowering because we tend to overbook ourselves and we tend to do things that we don't really want to do. And if you don't really want to do it, then you're going to feel horrible the whole time you're doing it. So stick to your guns and say no. And you shouldn't have to explain why you're saying no. For a long time, I was known as explainy girl because I would say no, but then I would have to explain it and I would over explain. And then I would pretty much guilt myself into doing what I didn't want to do. So you definitely do not want to have to deal with that. Making that special time, making that time for you to reflect on your feelings. Definitely taking that time to reflect on you. Like I said, it's about you because if you're not taking care of you, you definitely cannot take care of others. It's important for you to know that you can't take care of somebody else before you take care of you. It's like when you go on an airplane, they say if the oxygen masks fall down, put yours on first before trying to help somebody else. Think of some of these as your oxygen mask that you have to do first to take care of you. And practice self compassion. Yes, self compassion. And a great way to do this, I do this at the end of the day, but you can do it anytime during the day. And it's called the self compassion pause. And if you've never heard me talk about this, because maybe this is your first time hearing my show, it's important for you to do it It's important for to teach it for your kids to know how to do it, maybe anyone in your household. This is not a person specific, but because we all go through this stress and sometimes we just don't feel right, then this is something great that you can do. So I want you to take, the most important thing to learn how to do this. And like I said, all of this will be written down. You don't have to take notes, but it's nice and short and is something that is easy enough to do every day. So start by just taking a moment and pausing any thoughts and actions with a focused awareness that mindfulness can help. It's important that you know that mindfulness can help, and you need to believe that it can help and know that you're there for you. The next thing is to take your hand, either hand, but or take both hands and just give yourself a hug. Make some sort of physical contact with yourself. People have a tendency of not doing that. They'll touch everybody else and they'll give everybody else a hug or shake their hand, but you don't have contact with you. And if you don't feel comfortable giving yourself a hug, then just maybe rub your hands together. Hold your hands like this. Put your hands on your legs, as long as you're making some sort of contact with you, which will also kind of change your mindset sometimes if you've never done that before. And after that, one of the most important steps is acknowledging that you may not feel good, that you may have bad days. It's okay to have bad days. You don't have to be on 24/7. You really don't. It's taking time, for mindfulness. And what mindfulness encourages you is to acknowledge that you might be having a bad day, and that when you have a bad day that it's real and it might be hurtful, while giving yourself permission to feel it. Giving yourself permission to have a bad day. And some people feel like they need to be on 24/7 and be there for their family, and which is great. It is absolutely great that you feel that way, but you need to, let's see, how do I put this? You just need to be okay. You need to be okay with you. And part of that is setting your emotional boundaries and sticking to it. Don't let somebody guilt you into something that you don't want to do. And don't guilt yourself into doing something that you may not want to do. We've all done it. Trust me, we've all done it. So, take care of you. I'm going to keep saying take care of you because that's how I feel. And that's, for me, it was a long time coming. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes you don't get immediate results, and sometimes you're going to get backlash. When you say no, or you set your boundaries and you stick to them and you say, after this amount of time, I'm not doing it. Or during my time off, I'm only going to spend this much time with other people, if any time with other people personally. And that's totally up to you considering our situations these days. But even online or on the phone, don't let people drag you down. Hold to your boundaries. Cut them off. Please cut them off. You can do that. A great thing is, also social self care. It's important to have a supportive group and a network of, people around you that you can trust. We all have those friends that we can turn to and we can trust, and that's really important. So, some examples of social self care, and these are probably the most important things that you can do for your mental and emotional care, but they are the hardest things to do. And this may sound counterintuitive to what I said before about setting your boundaries, but you need to do these too. So, if you make a commitment and you tell somebody, you've already told them you're going to do it, stick to that commitment. And that's important for you to stick to your commitments, and it's important for the person that you said. So even if, it gets down to the wire and you felt great when you made the commitment, but now you don't, it's still important to make sure that you stick to those commitments. And it's just as important for you as it is for the person that you made that commitment to. But this is also important, and this is so hard, and it's asking for help. Asking for help when you need it. It's okay, and it's going to be really hard, and none of us like to ask for help. But sometimes we need it, and it's important that we ask for it. And it's going to shock some people because maybe you've never asked for help before. But if you really need it, don't suffer. Don't suffer alone. You know who your peeps are that you can turn to. Turn to those people and go, you know, I really need for you to help me out. And I really need for you to support me. And maybe you can help me out with this. Another thing that might help your social self-care is meeting new people, getting out and mingling a little. Now, like I said, we're in kind of a weird time right now where sometimes people can go out and meet new people. Sometimes you're just not ready to go out into the world yet, um, due to whatever your circumstances are. So, maybe join a group that meets online. That's still, it's not getting out and personally mingling, but you're still getting to meet new people and expanding your group and expanding your horizons. You know, um, I've met lots of people this last year and a half on Zoom that I now consider important people. I've now considered, realized that they're important people in my life. So even if you're doing it by Zoom, get out and try to meet new people. I would never tell you to go outside and, if you're not comfortable with it, but you can still meet new people. Spend some time with maybe your family and friends. Sometimes that also means, kind of getting out a little bit. And you may learn things about your friends and family that you didn't know before. Be inquisitive, ask questions, especially if it's somebody you haven't talked to in a while. You may get to even know and like other family members. Who knew? You know, maybe if you've met new people that are friends, get to know them a little better, likes, dislikes. What that does is that makes you feel, honestly, will make you feel less alone. And none of us want to feel alone. And even if, you are in that quarantine that, and you have to stay inside, then, you're okay. You're definitely, you're going to be okay. This one is for those that work in offices, whether it's, and mostly going back to your office. And that's professional self care. We need to take care of ourselves, whether we work from home, whether we work in an office, whether we work in a cubicle or a big office. It's important to take care of yourself with that and sharing your strengths. You have special gifts, share those. Having clear professional boundaries and living your purpose. Some examples of great professional care are, this is going to sound a little funny to some people, but eating lunch every day, a nice, nourishing lunch every day at work. Don't skip lunch. Sounds weird, but don't skip lunch. You keep your strength, and it'll help with your mood, and it'll help with your brain function. So, don't work through your lunch. Whatever you do, do not work through your lunch. You need to do that. A lot of people I know work straight through. because they feel like they have to. Or if people around them aren't taking their breaks, what's it going to say if I take mine? Well, what that's going to say is that you care about yourself, that you care about how you feel, and that you feel like you're important enough to get away. And the nice thing about breaks like that and lunch breaks like that, don't eat at your desk. Go out. Go to a different room if you can. Go outside if there's a bench. That's a good time to get some fresh air, to get away from the situation, get yourself out, and that'll change your whole mindset for the day. Is taking that break and stepping out of the situation, get some air, take time for you. That's how I feel about the taking time for you. Negotiate what your needs are. What do you need from that situation? You know, um, Figure out what it is and go for it. Do you need help with something? Do you need to talk to somebody to take care of a situation? Always go through the hierarchy, but if you're having an issue at work, maybe it's somebody you work next to, maybe it's a situation that's been happening for a long time that's really bringing you down every day. Don't put up with it. I know this is hard, but take care of it. And the faster and the more that you take care of it, the better you're going to feel. It's having those clear professional boundaries, like sticking up for yourself. Don't let anyone ever take advantage of you. And that is another thing that is so hard for people, because especially if it's somebody above you that just keeps piling stuff on and piling stuff on because you're the reliable one. Set your boundaries. Tell them, I just can't. And they're going to be shocked if you've always taken on extra stuff before. But the more you take on, the less you're going to feel like you want to do it. And you may do a bad job. And if you do a bad job, that's going to reflect badly on you. And it's just taking down yourself mentally. And the more you grind and you take yourself down mentally, the worse you're going to feel by the end of the day. And we've all had days where we've started out really good, and by the end of the day, you're absolutely, especially mentally exhausted. You are just done. And this is really sad. You don't ever want to feel like you're just mentally done. And another thing that you can do that can help you out professionally is, go to professional development opportunities, go to marketing groups. Um, Even if you work in a cubicle, go to marketing groups. Maybe you want to set up a side thing. Maybe you just want to get some help um, learning how to set your boundaries. I belong to a couple different, marketing groups that meet before work, and we know what each other does, and we talk about how you can advance. How can they help you? A lot of it is how can they help you and how can you help them? And if you have a job where you're trying to get clients, or you're trying to advance yourself, in your job, this is a great thing, because one of the things that we talk about is, what can I do to help you? um, So if you can find a group like that, they're all over Facebook. All you have to do is, either look them up, Google them, go to Facebook, go to wherever, and look up professional groups near me. Or they can just be professional groups, especially because a lot of groups like the ones that I belong to still meet weekly, but they meet on Zoom. And so you're getting that connection, which we've talked about, getting that social connection. And it'll also, you know it'll also help take care of you, and we're into taking care of you. We really are. Another good thing is your environmental self care. Having an organized, well maintained, hopefully at least a little clutter free, your business, your home, your environment, you're clean, having, get up every day, put on your clean clothes, and you're well maintained, and even, your mode of transportation. So, some examples of taking care of yourself environmentally are starting the declutter of maybe your home, maybe your work, especially if you work from home. It'll make you feel better because things will be organized. This was a big thing for me because I tend to like to have all my stuff around me. But I needed to have things organized because, as it happens, I work from home. And you need to have that room available for work, but you also need to have that room available if anybody else needs to use it. So there's a big process of organization and decluttering, and that's really not easy, especially for me. So I'm guessing it's not easy for other people out there. Um, this other one we've talked about in the past, and that's monitoring your technology time. Again, take an electronic timeout. Take some time for yourself. If you're going to, go read a book, go for a walk, unless you're going to listen to music or a book on tape, you know, don't take your phone with you. If you are going to listen to something like that, then that's perfect. Put in your headphones, and, as you're taking your walk and as you're getting outside, or maybe you're just sitting in a really big, comfy chair at home, and don't listen to the news, don't answer emails, don't answer text messages, just be in the moment and listen to those books on tape, or just listen to music and feel yourself melt. um, so important. An environmental thing that you can do is, after you eat, especially at night, clean up immediately after. This was also something that I had to get used to because I used to just let everything sit. Now I try to clean up as close to when I'm done. Sometimes you can clean up while one thing's cooking, clean up from something else. I don't generally use a lot of um, pans and stuff like that, but even the little stuff, clean it up, maybe let it soak a little bit if you need to while you're eating, but as soon as you're done, go into the kitchen, clean it up. Won't take that long, and you won't have to look at it every time you walk into the kitchen. This is, like I said, this is something that I also had to get used to doing. A lot of these I've used as self help for me. So if you use self help for me, I can use self help for you. And it works about the same way. Maintaining a clean and safe living environment, which has a lot to do with that decluttering. Don't let things get out of hand. Um, I am known for having little spots where I put stuff, and it ends up to be maybe a clutter zone. And about once a week, I have to look at it and I have to go, okay, this can't happen. We need to declutter this. We need to throw away what needs to be thrown away. Or if something's sitting there that I need to save, put it in a save where I save important documents, or, and having each room organized the best that you can. And it's not easy. It's not easy throwing things away. It's not easy organizing things, but it's so important, again, for your mental health, because nobody wants to walk into a room and go, oh, I can't believe I have to do this. And once you do it, it's a lot easier to maintain. I can guarantee you that. Another good thing that you can do that I feel very strongly about is spiritual self care. Now, when I say spiritual self care, I'm not talking about anything religious. It's how you feel. You can take that word any way you want to. It's just having beliefs and values that are important to you and guide your life. Like meditating. Some people love to meditate, and meditating is not easy. You generally will start out a couple minutes. That's right. I didn't say start out a half hour or an hour. Just do what you can. Start out, and meditating is just being in the moment and taking care of you. That's right. I said being in the moment, and if your mind wanders, then your mind wanders. That's all right. You know, have that journal with you. I love to tell people to journal, and a lot of people, a lot of my clients especially, aren't really into journaling, but some don't write in their journal. Maybe they draw in their journal, which is a wonderful thing. It's how you use it and your creativity to use it. It's marking down how you feel emotionally, and you can draw a happy picture or a sad picture or a mad picture, or you can write it down in words or poems or whatever strikes you to do that. Maybe try to go out on a retreat. And I don't mean a week long retreat if you can't do that. Maybe just a day retreat. Like I said, I'm lucky enough that I live by the ocean, and it's not that far for me to go to walk on a pier or walk on a beach. And people are generally far enough apart that you don't have to worry about a lot of clutter of people. Um, and follow the guidelines of where you live. Some people have to mask up, some people may not have to. Um, know what you can do around your place. But if you have something around you, like maybe a wooded area with trails, maybe a park that you've always wanted to go to, um, something with is few that comes down to, unless you're going to listen to music or a book on tape, turn your phone off of notifications. This is you time, you know, taking walk in nature, small, like I said, small wooded area. If you have a beach nearby, if you have a local park nearby, someplace a little bit farther away from where you live, that, and always make sure if you're going to do this by yourself, um, that you tell somebody where you're going, just for your safety. You don't need to be overly freaked out and paranoid, but just for your personal safety, let somebody know where you're at. This last one, I had never really thought of it. And once I did, then it made sense to me. And that's your financial self care, being responsible with your finances and having a conscious relationship with money. Knowing where your income is coming from is huge, because if you know your income is coming in, where it is, when, like if you're going to get paid, what day you get paid. So you feel more confident, and hopefully that income is enough to help you out, and to know that you're going to, that you're going to be okay. Knowing all of your expenses. We all have expenses. So knowing all of them, writing them down, knowing when they're due. Even if you have to, like in your journal or on a piece of paper, write down all of your expenses, how much they are, when they're due, and as you pay them, check them off. That way you don't forget something. It's really easy when you have a chaotic life to forget something. So this is your way of not forgetting. You can put it on a whiteboard. You can put it on a piece of paper on your fridge. You can do whatever you need to do to just maintain and know that. When taxes are due, make sure that you do that on time. That's also, or early. That'll take some of the stress off of you, so you're not freaking out on April 15th and you're in a panic mode. Just, when they're due the same day every year. If you're somebody that works and gets a W-2, as soon as you get it, handle it. It's pretty easy if you're just a regular W-2. If you have expenses, start early. I have to keep track of everything that I've spent, um, and keep track of those things. So if you're self employed or an independent contractor, you have to keep a little bit better track of that, but don't wait until the last minute. And, when you do have and know when your income comes in, spend your money wisely. Keep track of your spending habits. If you get a little extra, that's great, but don't kind of, don't overspend. We've all done it. We've gone, I got a little bonus. I worked a little extra time. I'm going to go on a spending spree. That's fine, but make sure that you save a little just in case you need it. It's important. But like I said, we've all done it, so that's all right. So implementing self-care tactics sometimes are really, challenging, but they are essential. And, when you work with any type of therapist, like a talk therapist or a hypnotherapist, like I am, we can help you get these things organized and help you benefit from them. So we're going to go over a couple things and really quick, um, that I got from mentalhealth.gov, which I follow and I hope that you do too, is like I said, get plenty of sleep. Adults, get those, especially adults and kids. Try to get those at least 8 hours a night. And everybody's body is different. So it's essential for learning and improving your daily habits that we have gone over. Stop and enjoy the small aspects of life. Enjoying the small things might seem a little cliche, but it's important to your personal, contentment. Taking that little walk, taking your breaks at work. Please take your breaks at work. You know, Appreciate the beauty out in nature. If you need to, use a stress ball or some other reliever. The way we handle stress involves our health. And if you need to have that little stress ball with you, a common method is to use a little stress ball. Just squeeze the frustrations away. And if you don't have a stress ball, they're so easy. So get a couple balloons, put one inside the other, because you want to have at least a double for this in case you get all out of hand. But fill it up with sand, whether it comes from the beach or the store, tie them up in a knot, and you have an instant stress ball. Barely cost you anything, especially if you're on a budget. It doesn't have to be a fancy stress ball, it just has to be a stress ball. It's I use them, I have them, I swear I have one in every room. Um, or you can use foam, like a little foam block or a little foam ball, just something that you can squeeze and you can have it at work and nobody can see you do it if you don't want them to. And if you get irritated, it's a great way. Perform random acts of kindness. How about that? Helping others. If you can volunteer, or simply doing a random act of kindness, and it can improve your self esteem so big, and it helps your mental wellness in a variety of ways, including self empowering. Maybe you're helping something in the community. Volunteering or doing these random acts of kindness contribute to lessening loneliness and depression. We have a new store near us that takes a quarter to get a shopping cart, and then when you return it, you get the quarter back, which is great for the store. But sometimes people don't have quarters. So when I go to the store, I always make sure that I have a couple extra quarters for people that didn't know that you had to do this. And just by, if somebody doesn't know or they don't have a quarter with them, that's great. You can always, give them a quarter, and it makes you feel so great. Work on your deep breathing exercises. I believe so much in deep breathing, and I teach breathing classes. And I'll be teaching more, and I'll be talking more about breath work, and you're going to go, but I already know how to breathe. Well, this is proper breathing, where you're breathing from your diaphragm and you're not breathing from your upper chest. And there's several health reasons why you should learn how to do that. And like I said, I'll be doing probably next week a show on breathing techniques, and it's something I teach all of my clients. So if you want to become a client, you also learn how to do that, those breathing techniques. Um, Remember always to eat breakfast. It's very important. Like they say, most important meal of the day. That way, get your brain fueled. It helps you start the day. It doesn't have to be a huge breakfast, but just something to nourish your body and nourish your brain to get you, to get you going. These there's diets everywhere, but even if you just eat a piece of fruit or toast or whatever you can, just start your day, with something. And this last one is so important. Take your vacation and your sick time. You have it for a reason, and that reason is to relax, both mentally and physically. Saving it up for a rainy day, don't, okay? Just go away for a couple days, even if it's a staycation. Go away. I promise it will help. And once again, as far as sick leave go, if you're going to work sick, trust me, they don't want you to come in sick. It's not good for you. It's not good for the people around you. Even if it's a cold or the flu, it doesn't have to be anything huge. But even that, nobody wants your germs. I can guarantee it. And I have been told this on days that I have wanted to go in sick. Nobody wants your stuff. So don't. Take your vacation time, take your sick time. It's there for a reason. It really is. You know, and this last thing that I want to talk to you about is it's called the 3-minute breathing space. Very important. And this, like I said, this is unlike a meditation or a body scan. This is nice and short, and it can be performed as a mindfulness practice. And depending on the age of your kids, this is a great one to teach them. So you're not just telling them, you're also doing it with them. Okay? So, like I said, 3 minutes, and it's easy to do. So for the first minute, spend on answering the question, how am I doing right now? Focus on your feelings, your thoughts, and your sensations, and trying to give words to these, trying to give your emotions words, phrases, colors, things like that. But for the first minute, just how am I doing right now? The second minute is keeping awareness of your breath. Keep awareness of your breath and feel your breath slow down and feel it, go with your heart and feel that just slow down and relax. And the last minute is used for an expansion and attention towards that breath, feeling ways in which your breathing affects the rest of your body. So when you're concentrating on your breathing, is that making your muscles relax? Is that making your chest relax? Keeping a quiet mind can be challenging, and thoughts will pop up, and that's fine. Don't block them, but let them come into your mind and then just let them disappear. Or just try to observe them and then let them disappear. The intention of this isn't to repress your feelings, but experience those feelings. You're human. It's okay. You must feel, and don't try to avoid the feedback loop, but that encourages the negative feelings. Just let yourself go. Sometimes the best thing you can do is get out of your own way. And I will always suggest that if you need to, you, your kids, your other family members, call a friend or a relative that you haven't heard from in a while. Get online, set up maybe a movie watch night or dinner with a friend, even if it's online. This is important for everybody. This is so important. And maybe you'll learn how to smile when at times smiling's not easy, especially for some people, especially during these times. So, this being the first show on the new format, I want to thank you for listening today. It's been my pleasure, to be even a small part of your journey. And I hope it's been calming and soothing and that you've learned something. And mostly, I hope that wherever you are, you're leaving more of who you want to be. So if you want to help support the show, which I hope you do, because we're going to be continuing doing this Mondays at 3 o'clock, so you'll know where to find me. We do have a Patreon page, so just go, and if you're going to go to Patreon, look up Hypno Fairy Godmother Radio Show, and I'll thank you in advance if you'd like to do that. I've got some special content that we'll be doing. So remember, I'm Shirley Ance, a clinical hypnotherapist here in Southern California, activist, mental health first responder, and my job is or my company and my business is Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy and Wellness. And I work together with my clients and hopefully maybe you, if you want it, as a team. And we try to find the best way to get you feeling more like you without fear, getting rid of a habit, without the pain mentally or physically. And I work online so I can help wherever there's need and wherever you are. And although I understand that hypnotherapy isn't for everybody, but let's talk and let's see if we can work together. So I'm Shirley, clinical hypnotherapist. And if you'd like, you can book a consultation, which is free, or a session today at whisperingzen.com. And it has been my sincere pleasure to help you out. So remember, let's take this one last deep breath. Hold it. Exhale with a smile. And thanks for tuning in. Please tell your friends where you can find me. And I will see you next week. Have a great, wonderful week and a wonderful day.